after the huge success and the impact that Adolescence made earlier on this year in helping to start really important conversations about toxic masculinity and the struggles, actually, of being a boy or a man today, we're kicking off a new campaign. It's What Makes a Man, and joining me now is Strictly star Pete Wicks. No stranger, of course, talking about his own emotions, which is great. And he wants to get all of you at home to have that conversation with the men in your lives as well. And I know you feel very strongly about this, and sometimes it is going to be up to wives, partners, to get that conversation going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think men as a whole struggle to open up. I still do.
Yeah.
But, you know, a couple of years ago, something happened in my life which meant that I felt like I needed to because I was struggling. It was the first time I've really said that. And I think the whole point of this campaign is we're always told to talk. Always told to talk. That seems to be, you know, the answer everyone assumes for mental health, especially with men. But that's not always easy, and it's not always the answer. But this is about holding space for people.
Right.
So by holding space, I mean giving people an opportunity to feel safe enough so that they can talk. Right. I think that's the problem. A lot of people are not just going to come out and go, right, I'm now ready to talk about my emotions.
Sure.
They have to be in a position where they feel safe and they feel in a position where people actually want to listen. And I think that's the kind of the biggest problem.
No, that's really good. You're absolutely right. You have to make sure that the man in your life can... There's no point in just blurting it out and saying, right, OK, let's talk about your emotions. Let's talk about what it is to be a man.
Yeah.
You have to kind of build up to it in a way, but it's just knowing that you've got to have that conversation.
Yeah, I think that, you know, that's the first step, is knowing and admitting that you're struggling. And a lot of people still have that stigma around men admitting their feelings and admitting that they're struggling. That makes them weak. And actually, it's quite the opposite. It's a really strong and brave thing to do. And what you need, whether that be husbands, wives, partners, whatever it may be, brothers, sisters, you need to be able to hold space enough for someone to be able to speak to you with no judgment, accepting them for who they are and allowing someone to be vulnerable, but also why you feel like someone needs to speak. I think that's really important, is being really honest about why you feel that person needs to speak.
Because generally you know the signs when somebody is not maybe, you know, having a rough time, or, you know, something's happened in their life, maybe there's been a bereavement, or maybe they've lost their job, or maybe you know, all of these... Listen, everybody's living their lives and trying to get on as best they can. But I do honestly think that we're the ones that have to take that initiative. Yeah,
and I think there are lots of telltale signs when someone is struggling, but also there are an awful lot of people who are functioning. And they're the people that you don't understand. You know, how many times have we seen it previously where someone is struggling but no one's ever realised, no one's ever noticed? Yeah. And that's because a lot of people put themselves in a position where they are fixers, where they take on everyone else's kind of problems, and, you know, they like to do that because it deflects from their own issues. Right. So there's a lot of times where you see people, you think they're absolutely fine. They're always all right. And actually, sometimes there's some of the people that are struggling the most. And I think that's generally because they have nowhere to outlay their issues. No, that's true. They haven't got a space where they feel safe, and they haven't got anyone holding space for them. So that's kind of
I've never heard of that, holding space, but it actually makes sense.
Yeah, it's just... People will talk when they're ready. Yeah. You know, that you can't force someone to talk about things.
But you can make sure that
you can make sure that if they need to, you're there for that. And I think that's really, really important. And that's kind of what this whole campaign is about. It's about, you know, what makes a man, men trying to understand themselves, because, you know, we struggle to understand ourselves, let's be honest. And that's what, you know, this whole thing is about. And I think it's really, really important, especially now for younger men. No, that's absolutely right. Of course it is. I mean, because you were a kid when you were 11 and your parents split up. And at 11 years old, there you are with your mum, and you're told, oh, you're the man of the house now. But what does that mean? You know, as a child, you're sort of like, well, what do I have to do? What is this role that I have to assume? Because things have changed dramatically over the years. Yeah, I mean, I was 11 and went through, you know, quite a rough time. It's been fairly well documented with my mum, who is my hero, absolute angel. But she had mental health struggles, which meant that she unfortunately tried to take her own life at that stage, and I had to become the man of the house at that point. But actually, I didn't really have any male role models to understand what being a man was. You kind of had to fight your way through it. And I think actually that is a problem that we have now, is that a lot of men don't really have a male role, but they don't know what it is to be a good man. And actually, it's not really necessarily a gender-related thing. It's what it takes to be a good person. A good person. Because social media has changed so much. You know, when I was 11, there wasn't really social media. Now, there are so many loud voices that aren't necessarily giving... dangerous, toxic voices out there, and young guys
are, like, sadly getting sucked into that?
Well, young guys, young people are lost. They don't know where to go. And sometimes you fall into a crowd of the loudest voice just because you want to feel part of something. And actually that distorts what the difference between authenticity, being a genuinely good person is. And I think, you know, I was certainly guilty of that. I've made a million mistakes in my life.
But you learn by your mistakes, love.
Well, I try to.
No, you absolutely do.
I try to.
You've got to find what works for you and what brings you joy.
Yeah.
You know, once you've sort of, like, I don't know, it's a very brave thing to do, to show your vulnerability, isn't it? But I know with you, it's other people, but it's also dogs. You get, I mean, look, you've just lit up. Said the word
Listen,
dog.
that is my safe space. Dogs are better than people.
They are, and they're very understanding.
Very understanding. They don't care where you've been, what you look like. Exactly.
Non-judgmental.
And that's what we need. If we could be more like dogs, the world would be a better place, trust me.
It certainly would. You're back with your new show, isn't it? You just told me that there just now. It's back on Monday.
Yeah, Monday at 9 p.m.
I love that show.
On U&W, or you can stream it on You.
Oh,
Little
it's
plug
great.
there for you. But
no, don't you worry about
excited.
it. I didn't realise it was back so soon.
Yeah,
so
Series 2 is back.
Gosh, brilliant. Now, look, before you go, obviously you did Strictly last year with Jovita.
Yep.
And she has got Ross is very lucky.
She's got your guy.
Yes. Now, Ross, the relief that he didn't get out first. And he was never going to get out first.
No.
He did himself proud. Any sort of help, advice, anything you would say to Rossi?
I mean, look, he's got the best teacher in the world. Jovita is incredible. If she can drag me to a semi-final, she can...
You did so well.
She can work miracles. But he's starting at a better position. He's a better dancer than I was. So all he's got to do is listen to Jovita and just embrace the experience. When would you ever get a chance to do something like that?
I know. But I think that, you know, I think the nerves with Ross for the first show, and there was an awful lot going on in that dance.
Well, my best friend's doing it as well. Vicky Pattison's doing it.
Of course she is,
struggles, but she's an incredible
brilliant
dancer, I think she's going to go all the way.
I do as well. I agree with you. I think she is absolutely fantastic. She just has to have more belief in herself. Because you can see that she's nervous, which is fine. Who wouldn't be? You were nervous. You know, you would be nervous. But she's doing incredibly. She's definitely one to watch. Along with our Rossi, of course.
Of course,
Of course. Great to see you. Thank you for this. I know you're back on Friday with you're talking on Friday, aren't you? Which will be really good. And to pledge your support, what we're asking is for you to go to our Instagram or Facebook post for our campaign and like that post to show your support, and then have a conversation with the man in your life. You know, as you said, what was that thing you said about space? You have to...
Holding space.
Holding space. And, of course, you can catch Pete and Tyler on Friday's show in conversation for World Mental Health Day. And for lots of helplines, you can go to our website, of course. So please join in, and we'll all get talking and we'll all feel better for it. Well, that's a wrap for this video. We hope you enjoyed it. We have all the best moments from the show right here on the channel. And if you like this video, then we think you'll love this one. See you next time.